We've been hearing this all week. The church's selections for the Office of Readings this week have come from the book of Exodus, which we just heard. So the Israelites' complaint and questions might sound familiar. Moses, we're thirsty. Why didn't you just leave us in Egypt? This journey is killing us, literally. And it might seem amusing to us, but I wonder how we reacted just now when we heard the reading. What went through your mind when you heard these questions from the Israelites to Moses, and through Moses to God? What went through my mind? Why did you ever make us leave Egypt? Was it just to have us die here of thirst with our children and our livestock? If experience is any indicator, these words might be washing over us. Typical Lenten themes: the desert, our thirst, needing God. We say, okay, great, that's really spiritually rich. Or we hear it described as grumbling here. The Israelites grumbled. And then we can say, oh well, grumbling happens all the time. That's human. It's not that big of a deal. But can we listen one more time? Can we try to hear the anguish that's in the Israelites' voices? The desperation? The frantic pleas? Some of them might actually be suffering intensely for lack of water. Maybe some of them actually are fearing for their life. I think there's a sharpness to these questions that they pose to Moses. And I imagine that they struck at his heart and mind. There's actually good evidence of this based on how Moses reacts, because he turns to God pretty desperate himself. The Israelites are uttering a piercing cry. Why did you ever make us leave Egypt? Was it just to have us die here of thirst? Okay, now we're a bit uncomfortable. And we would find, if we can sit with this discomfort just a little bit more, that we're just like the Israelites. Though in a different way, we're just as thirsty as they were. Sure, we don't live in the desert. It's not an arid climate here in St. Louis. We're not exactly strapped for food and drink. I would know my bellman job is to get us drinks replenished. We have the technology, the entertainment that we so enjoy. And yet, we thirst. And I can see two poor choices in response to this thirst, to the experience, the intense reality of our thirst. And often these are our favorite choices: to quench it and to ignore it, to satiate it and to sideline it. So what does the first one look like? To satiate it. That's thinking that the next delicious meal, maybe some birria tacos like we enjoyed, the next bubbly or Coke Zero, a deeper friendship with that one brother, the perfect balanced schedule, a great prayer life will satisfy, will stop this thirst, will be enough for us. How about the second way? To sideline it. That's something like saying, I'm good. I don't need help. There's nothing missing for me. I don't feel lonely. I don't feel distant from God. I'm in religious life after all. I live with great guys. What's the issue with both of these approaches? I don't think I need to be the one to say this for us to know that it's true. But neither approach works. We continue to long for more. And again, these tactics are not working. They don't work because we're trying to tamp down an infinite longing placed in us by God Himself. Now, I happen to think that St. Bernard of Clairvaux, a French monk from 1,000 years ago, might have captured this dynamic better than anyone, at least anyone I've read. He has a treatise called On Loving God, and there he writes about this dynamic in this way, talking about God. He makes you desire. He is what you desire. He makes you desire. He is what you desire. And if God does make us desire, we can be confident that He does that for a reason. In fact, the desire that He's given us, all of us, is a sort of a pathway to Him. So, this Lent, as we are, yes, in a spiritual desert, let's embrace this thirst. Really latch onto it. Take hold. Even start to see the thirst as a kind of gift, a strange promise, a certain openness, a capacity, a longing in our nature for more. And following its lead, we can be assured, though the way be long, treacherous, dry, and difficult, that it leads to Him. That this means that Jesus can and will fulfill us against every indication to the contrary. And then for us, just as the Israelites at the very end of our passage today, for us the water will flow out too, just as it did for them, and God will give us to drink of His very self.
Yeah.